Hello, it's Tuesday the 13th of February and this is the 6th of 53 consecutive 5-mile walks from the Gresford Disaster Memorial to the miners' rescue in town and back again. Today, amongst other things, I'm going to be talking about rippers, packers and doggies, as well as the intolerable conditions the miners were exposed to day after day. But before that, I want to thank every single person who has contributed to this fundraiser, which thanks to 2 3-figure donations overnight from Jay, the Upper East Side Hawk, look forward to our walk in March, and Will Sudworth of Hypnotic and Red Pen Development, and probably one of the nicest men on planet Earth, now stands at £945. Thank you, and thank you to everybody else. Anyway, it's about 4:15 on a damp, cold Tuesday afternoon, and today I'm going to give you a visual sense of my walking route. And as I turn every corner, I'll give you a bit of a glimpse of the way I'm walking. So, what was it like for the 1,850 miners working underground at Gresford in 1934? Legislation at the time dictated that no miners should be working a shift longer than 7.5 hours. But in reality, the economic situation of families above ground and the pressure to hit production quotas below ground created an overtime culture that saw shifts typically in the region of 10, if not 15 hours long. All the tasks performed by miners would be carried out in dark, cramped, poorly ventilated conditions in 90-degree heat. D.R. Grenfell, speaking in the House of Commons after the disaster, described the conditions for Gresford miners. Men were working almost stark naked, with their clogs with holes bored through the bottom to let the sweat run out. With 50% of coal being mechanically cut by the 1930s and 40% of it being conveyed along the face by endless belts, the environment was incredibly noisy. As Joseph Jones described in The Coal Scuttle 1936, the machine cuts the coal at lightning speed and the conveyor brings it out to the wagons in an endless stream. Men had to work at the highest pressure and without a moment's respite. The whir of the coal cutting machines, the hammering of the pneumatic picks, the crash of the conveyor makes a deafening noise. Added to all this, the Gresford mine had no riding trains, so having descended down the shaft, the men would have to walk significant distances to and from their stations. And then there was the constant fear of injury and death, no doubt put to one side in the mind of the miners, but nonetheless there. In 1932, the Miners' Federation claimed that on every working day, an average of 450 men were injured and 5 were killed. The danger was ever present and real, and in the words of Gresford miner John Hughes, one could smell the explosion coming a few years before it actually happened, and it was in everyone's mind. And so what were the miners doing 680 metres underground? There were beltmen who would patrol conveyors, usually capable of carrying out small repairs as well. Borers who used machines to drill holes in coal or strata. Colliers who stripped coal from the face, shoveled it onto a conveyor and advanced the line of the coal face. Doggies who would assist the shot firer by moving the necessary equipment from one place to another as required. Haulers who lashed and undipped the chains attached to coal tubs over a moving overhead haulage rope, allowing the cut coal to be transported. They would also hold supplies to the face and collect empties. Fillers working at the coal face with a shovel, filling containers with coal to be conveyed, often working in very difficult places and often lying on their sides in the space with the roof, only 20 to 22 inches off the floor. Metalmen who took the roof down to give more height in the tunnels. Packers whose job it was to fill and reinforce roof supports made of stone. Pikemen hacking away at the face using picks. Repairers employed to do various jobs, mainly on the roadways, to make sure the tracks were clear of rubble and to make sure the supports were in order. Rippers removing the rock above the coal seam and setting arches as the face advanced. Shot firers in charge of detonating shots and explosives. All the jobs were back-breaking, repetitive, and performed, in the words of Joseph Jones, in a hell under earth for less than bare existence of a wage, while wives and mothers often went without themselves to keep their men fit and healthy for work. Tonight's song is Shipbuilding by Robert Wyatt. Diving for dear life when we could be diving for pearls. Tonight's walk is dedicated to Stephen Chadwick, Edwin Chesters, Arthur Clutton, George A. Clutton, and John T. Clutton.